Well, hello everyone, and welcome to LEMD's live educational series. We are so glad you're joining us as we continue our mission to help people live longer, healthier lives. At LEMD, we're more than a telehealth platform. We're a growing community rooted in education, innovation, and whole body support. Today, we're thrilled to welcome back our very own Dr. Skye Davis, a board certified naturopath and certified nutritional consultant known for her bold, holistic approach to wellness. With nearly 2 decades of experience, Dr. Skye combines personalized nutrition, advanced detox, peptide therapy, and her signature no nonsense coaching to help clients reclaim their energy, confidence, and hormones. She's on a mission to empower busy professionals to feel vibrant and alive from the inside out. Dr. Skye, welcome back. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, honey, for having me. It's an honor.
First, it's an honor for us to have you. Now, for our first time people who are just tuning in for the very first time and meeting you, can you just share a little background in your history of how you became a naturopath doctor? And maybe you could tell us what a naturopath doctor does. And we'll get started.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having me, honey. I just love this company. I love honey. I love all the incredible community that we have here. We are on a mission to help people to restore their health, to live longer, and to feel vibrant. And I call it becoming superhuman, not settling for just okay, but really maximizing our heart health, our brain health, our overall wellness and vitality, so we can show up for our families in the best way possible. So I love seeing grandparents playing with their grandkids, growing up with their grandkids growing up with their grandparents. I got into longevity because of my mother. I shouldn't say her age, but she's incredible. She's almost 69. She's gonna kill me. But my mom, I want her to live as long and healthy as possible. So, a little bit about my background. I own a beautiful clinic in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and I've been in practice for about 18 years. Naturopathy is very broad, but essentially a naturopath practices traditional medicine, which has been around thousands of years. It's actually the oldest medicine if you trace it back. And we practice holistic health or natural health. So we'll incorporate a lot of different therapies, specializing in things like cleansing and detox, nutritional therapies. Some will go into specialties like iridology, studying the eye. You can see a lot in somebody's health by studying their eyes. So that's Bernard Jensen's very popular in the naturopathic world. And a lot of them will go into some chiropractors or naturopaths. So they'll do manual manipulation, hydrotherapy, incorporating water therapy. I personally specialize in longevity medicine, women's health, chronic and mystery illnesses. And I use a lot of nutritional therapies, so cleanses and detoxes to optimize the body. And then I now have the opportunity to also use peptides, which has just been skyrocketing the results. And I can't wait to share some of those stories with you.
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Dr. Sky, for the background. Now, we've had close to 2,000 new brand partners join us in the last 2 months. So there's a lot of people who are new to our community and want to learn about peptides. Let's start at the top. First of all, what are peptides? Maybe you can share what peptides are, why you choose to incorporate them, how they're different than traditional medicine, prescription medications out there, and then we'll talk about all the good stuff, GLPs and NAD and so forth.
Okay, I would be happy to. And I just want to preface and say I've been using peptides now personally and professionally for 4 months. So I've been learning a lot myself. I'm still learning a lot. So peptides are short chain amino acids, and our bodies produce peptides every single day. We have them at birth. And there are a lot of different peptides in different areas of the body. For example, the GLP-1s are in our brains, our guts, our liver, our kidneys, and other places in our body. So they're also signaling molecules. So what I love about peptides, there's a lot of things, like a lot of benefits, like helps to reduce inflammation, helps to regulate the appetite and the blood sugar, among so many other things. But how I like to look at peptides as they help to signal the body on how to function as we were designed to function. But what happens is it's kind of like when we have our cell phone and we go into the country and we can't get a signal. Our phones would work if they do have that signal. But what happens is the signal goes weak. We can't check our email. We can't talk to our family. So essentially, what the peptides are doing is they're signaling the body on how to work as we were designed to work. So they don't take over pathways like medications. They upregulate and again help the body to remember how to function as we were designed to function. Whereas medications are going to take over systems and kind of say to the body, hey, we have this, and the body will stop producing those hormones or those different functions, and it will kind of forget how to function as it was designed. So you can come on and off peptides and you don't create a dependency on them. You just don't get the benefits of them that you did when you were taking them.
Great explanation. I love that. They work with your body's natural process and systems. I love that about peptides.
Mhm.
Now, for someone new, brand spanking new to GLPs, can you talk to us about what GLP-1s are, GLP-1 GIPs, and what they should know about how they work in the body? I know you touched on it briefly, but let's elaborate a little bit more.
Well, honey, I'm still learning myself about GLP, so feel free to jump in here. But GLP-1s, again, are naturally occurring in their body. And when we do bring GLP-1s through these products, for example, they mimic our own hormone. And GLP-1s are amazing. The more that I dive into GLP-1s, and I want to share a little story. I have a client who came to me, let's call her Claire. And she had lost all hope. Like she was dealing with horrible hip pain. She could not take a bath because she couldn't get out. She couldn't fit in the bath. She couldn't get out of the bath. And when she came to me, she was, just hopeless. And so, I pointed her to these trusted peptides because, it's really important to make sure that you're getting your peptides from a trusted source because there's so many peptides out there that are research grade and black market. They're unregulated and they're full of contaminants and they're not prescribed. They're not, under medical supervision. So there's a lot of important steps that need to be taken. So when I finally found a trusted source for peptides, of course, I wanted to share them with my patients. So Claire got on the GLP-1 GIP. She went through the intake process. She got approved. She went on her the GLP-1 GIP. And she started to feel better immediately. Within the first week, she noticed that her energy was better. She was feeling less inflammation. A lot of women are dealing with so much bloating, and nobody likes feeling bloated, right? All that puffiness in the gut. So she felt that right away. There was a lot of reduction of bloating. And she started to notice a reduction in her pain. And as the weeks went on, she was able to walk from her house to her mom's house, which was a very short distance. But before, she was having all this pain in her hips, which a lot of folks don't realize is hormonal related. A lot of that menopausal hip pain is hormonal related. So it's amazing the stories that you hear with women on these medications that are actually able to get rid of their hip pain very safely and quickly. So she lost 20 pounds in her first month of using it. She's very happy. And, you know, she finally came into my office with hope and just a feeling of, I'm going to get my life back. I'm starting to feel better. And we incorporate a little bit of supplementation. She's on a nutritional plan. But I share that story because that's what these peptides do. They give people hope again. They help them to feel better. And now this is month 4. She's hired a movement coach to help her, with some training, to get her body moving. So before, 3 or 4 months ago, she wouldn't have been able to do that because she was in so much pain, right? She couldn't even take a bath comfortably, go for a walk. And now she's like, I'm ready to exercise. I'm ready to, take the next step in my health. She's now lost 50 pounds. She feels great. She looks great. It's like the years are just melting off her, off her body. And this is so cool to watch. So, peptides, I call them miracle molecules. They aren't they aren't, I wouldn't say a quick fix, but in a sense, they kind of can be because when somebody's feeling so icky and so hopeless, and you can give them that boost to kind of help their body to remember, hey, you got this, and you can reduce that inflammation, you could regulate your blood sugar, and you can have a little bit more energy. And that's where I love the NAD. So when you're ready, I'd love to talk about the NAD. But essentially, I don't know if you have anything to add to that, honey, with
Well,
peptide.
the GLP, let's talk a little bit more about the GLP-1s,
Yeah.
what they do. So what can someone expect when they're on GLP-1s? I know I've been on them. I think you've used them perhaps.
Yeah.
Um, so what is if someone's starting fresh? I mean, we have a lot of first-time tuners tonight. So if someone's just starting on GLP-1s, what can they expect? So you reduced inflammation. I think you briefly touched on that. There's the hip pain went away, so that's inflammation. And by the way, in the longevity world, we call inflammation inflammaging, right?
Amazing.
Because
Yeah.
it's a but what else can they expect? So it slows down digestion, and then what happens?
So a really incredible thing that happens is there's this thing with Americans, and it's worldwide, where, and I work with a lot of women, and this is for men and women, but there's something that we call food noise or food anxiety. And what it is that we get so focused on what we're eating, how much we're eating. Are we eating too much? Are we eating too little? Are we eating too much of this food, of that food? And we start to get, it feels like insanity, really. And it's a constant beating ourselves up of, oh, I had too much bread, or I had too much sauce, or I ate too much today, or I didn't eat enough today. And if you know what I'm, if you have this, because so many of us do, you know what I'm talking about. So the very first day after I took my first dose, that noise was completely gone. It was just like this very calming effect on the brain, on my brain, and that noise was gone. That's one of the biggest things I hear from patients and in the community is that noise is gone. And it's such a, if you have that noise, it's a constant nagging, voice. And when that noise can be calmed and there's just quiet and you can really focus on what does my body need right now? Am I truly hungry, or is my blood sugar on this roller coaster, which is what happens over the years? We become insulin resistant and our body just gets so, it has to have all these blood sugar spikes through the day, and we crash and we try to essentially regulate our blood sugar. And what the GLP-1s do is they set the proper glucose marker in the pancreas so that we just feel like really steady. The blood sugar starts to just level out, and it's kind of like this very calming feeling because you're not succumb to all these like, oh gosh, I'm so tired, or I'm wired and I have to eat this and that. So I find that my patients feel really much calmer and they can eat more intuitively. They stick to their plan a lot better. But even if they go off their plan, they're not like if they go on a vacation, most of us when we go on vacation, right, when we get back, because we ate things we don't usually eat, we expect to gain weight. Well, I was just talking to a colleague of mine and I went on vacation and I lost weight. It's just, it's wild what can happen when the body starts to regulate. So the food noise is really big. These products are also used, which is very important to me. It's still in clinical trials, but for addiction, so like alcohol and drug addiction, it helps. with the neuroplasticity in the brain. It helps new pathways form. I don't know exactly all the science of it, but you can certainly dig in. It's really cool. But our nation is so stressed out. We're living in a very stressful, and I care to say most people are addicted to something, whether it's food, alcohol, or drugs, or gambling, or whatever. And there's something special about the GLP-1s that help the brain to just really relax and to get back in control.
hmm Well, yeah, sugar and food, I mean, that taps into the reward pathways, as we know. And so when you calm the reward pathways and you level out the dopamine and everything else, the body can do what it needs to do. Actually, someone asked me today, they're like, "Are you a dessert person?" I was like, "I used to be," because also your gut microbiome adjusts, right? There's candida, you have your gut microbiome, they compete for resources. So when you balance out sugar, the candida
Mhm.
levels go down and your body starts going into a state of homeostasis and balance. So
Mhm.
yes, I used to be a sugar fiend, but now I don't crave it. And it even when I get off the GLP-1s, I just don't crave it because my body's in balance, right? And that's where we
Right.
want to go, right?
Right, absolutely, honey. Yeah, it does help with the gut microbiome. So absolutely it helps with sugar cravings. Absolutely, I felt that myself. It also, um,
Let's talk about lipolysis too with the GLP, GIP and how it taps into lipolysis and fat loss.
honey, you could take that one.
It does. That it has the additional benefit of helping you burn fat. And also, like Dr. Skye mentioned, one of the classes, the GLP-1 GIP, has been shown and demonstrated to be much more effective when it comes to that, the addiction pathways, the dopamine pathways, or when it
Mhm.
comes to rewards of shopping and smoking. And there's a lot involved in there. But thank you for
I,
that. Um,
I will add, honey, that I just talked to a patient while she's considering coming on the GLPs, and she got bypass surgery, and she said she was losing, like her rear end. She is losing in her hips and places that women don't like to lose, right? Are beautiful natural features. And I said to her, what I've seen with the GLP-1, right, it shrinks fat cells, but it doesn't in a way, it kind of deflates us. And so it's not like we're losing it in one area but not another. So it's a beautiful deflating of all of that inflammation. And when done properly, we can preserve that healthy muscle. And there's strategies and things that we can do to really kind of be proactive in that sense. But I just love that, like for me personally, after the third day, I looked in the mirror and I was shocked at how much my face was so much thinner. And, my ring was fitting looser, and it's just everything just started to just deflate. And I didn't realize that I was carrying an extra 25 pounds, but I feel the best I've felt since I had my daughter, 15 years ago now, about 15 years ago. So I'm back to kind of pre-baby weight, and I just feel so much better. Um, so I want that for everybody.
Mm, I love that. And I think I've shared this on past calls. I used to be 235 pounds at my heaviest, and I lost, I see Jill saying, what? I was 235 pounds at 5'8". So I was just so sick of being sick. Eventually, I got a lap band surgery. I don't think they even perform lap band surgeries anymore, but out of desperation, I went to Tijuana, Mexico, and I got lap band surgery. I was in my mid 20s. And I wish I could tell you it was a success story. My stomach turned on itself within 9 months. And the port site, my body was rejecting this foreign object on the port site. I was just like, I went to the doctor. This was at the University of Michigan Health System. I was like, just take it all out. I'm tired of it. I'm going to do this on my own. So I went and I lost the weight on my own. I learned everything I could about nutrition. And it really, for me, protein worked. If I got adequate protein and enough protein in my body and my system, I would lose the weight. And I tried to stay around 20 grams of carbohydrates or below that, and just
Mhm.
as much protein as you want to have. And I lost the weight. It was a great success story. The first month, I focused on just like protein shakes, just to get my body back into a level of a equilibrium, right? Like a balance. And then the weight just started to come off. But then baby number one came, baby number two came,
Mhm.
and I was right back up. I was at 220. I tried to, all the tricks weren't working anymore now that, I'm a little bit older. And so the GLP-1s came into my life at a beautiful stage a couple years ago. And I was like, I got to get this out to as many people as possible. And right now, the place I'm at is it's a tool that I know I could tap into and I don't have to fear gaining weight because that fear in itself is terrifying of gaining the weight back and oh no, here I am, a failure, back at square one. So for me right now, it's a tool of hope. I don't have to be scared. I'm not anxious about my weight. It doesn't affect my self-esteem. So it's been a blessing in my life and I think so many other people's lives. I don't know if you have a similar story or if anybody else has a similar story, please share it in the chat. I think we can all sort of relate, right?
Yeah, it is. It's, well, when I first met Honey, I was in tears because, I feel like peptides, and I'll preface with, I did all the things. Like I'm a naturopath, I did all the cleanses, the parasite, the liver, eating clean, making sure that, I'm moving my body. I mountain bike, I play hockey. I mean, but I was still so stuck. And, I share this a little bit. I mean, I didn't realize how much inflammation I had and how much it was affecting my mood. So many women, whether it's the feeling of what we have towards ourselves, we don't feel like, it's hard when you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see every single day and you're like, ew, ooh, that affects our self-esteem. But further than that, I was dealing with bloating, like I was sharing, and low mood, really low mood. I just felt so flat. And I would show up taking care of everyone else, kind of with this mask on. And after only a week of being on the GLP-1 GIP, I went to my mom in tears, just how much better I felt with my mood and how I felt. Just my brain just all of a sudden just felt calm.
Mm.
And I say I went in for the vanity, but I came out with my sanity. And it truly,
Oh.
these peptides have cleared my mood. I have my spark back, my energy, my confidence. And these are hope miracle molecules. And that's really special to. And I want to share another story about a gentleman. We'll call him Steve. He came to me with really poor cognitive function, and we did some cleansing, we did some preparation for, liver detox and kidney support and everything. He started to feel better, better cognitive function. He was laying on my table about month three, and I said, we can keep detoxing, but I said, I want to ask you an honest question. When you look in the mirror, how do you feel about yourself? Do you feel sexy? Do you feel good about yourself? And he said, no, I don't. And I could see he was puffy and he was inflamed. So I said, let's try these peptides. And within the first week, he came into my office and you could just feel and see more radiant, but he was carrying himself like more confident. And as I see him coming in, he's just getting younger looking, more handsome, and more confident. And the last time he was here, and I want to share this last bit, his boss is now, he's essentially getting considered for this huge promotion because he's feeling so much better and his cognitive function is so much higher. He's like operating at this higher level. He wouldn't have ever been, up for that promotion had he not gone through this process and started feeling better because he was literally a walking zombie, respectfully. I mean, you guys know what that feels like when you don't sleep well or you wake up and you just don't have energy and you kind of walk around in this haze all day and you don't feel like you can remember things and it's just not a good feeling. So that's really cool to help professionals to up level their career as well with these products.
Mm, I love that. This has turned into a support group of all of us sharing our stories. I love it. And you know what? You're right. With cognitive function, that is a benefit, added benefit. Outside of the US, they call diabetes type 3, I'm sorry, Alzheimer's and dementia type 3
Type 2
diabetes.
diabetes, yeah.
And so, of course, when you reduce inflammation, it's just systematic. It's system wide. So
Mhm.
you do feel better and much more alert. Absolutely. Now let's talk about common myths and I'm sorry, misunderstandings about GLP-1s that you hear from everyday users. What are some of those myths that you're hearing? And if you guys are hearing some myths, put it in the chat and we'll address them.
Oh, that's fun. Okay. Myths. Um, well,
I'll start
let's
with
see. We
one.
had yeah,
You're
yeah,
going to
go
lose
ahead.
muscle mass. You're going to lose all your muscle and you're going to have what do they call it? Ozempic butt? Is that the term that they use it? Ozempic face, Ozempic butt, whatever they call it. But you're going to lose your muscle if you go on these medications. How do we address that?
Well, I don't deny it because unfortunately, with the wrong dosage and wrong management, that can happen. But at LEMD, we dose per the individual and, per each person's BMI. So we don't overdose people. And the beautiful thing with LEMD is that these patients are monitored from start to finish. They have unlimited check-ins with the physician by just reaching out if they need to be, connected and have a conversation with the physician. And so nobody's left to figure this out for themselves. We don't also sell the preloaded pens, which is what gets people in trouble. I have patients that can only do a microdose. Like she can only do 10 units of the microdose whereas someone else can tolerate a much higher dose. So when you have those preloaded pens, you cannot adjust the dosing. And unfortunately, people are sent home with these medications and they might see their doctor every few months. Well, hey, so many weeks and months have gone by and they're overdosed. And they do lose too much, or they lose too much weight, and then they do end up losing muscle as well. But when done properly, per the individual with the right support, we don't worry about that here.
Well, I'll also add with any sort of rapid weight loss, you will
Hmm.
lose approximately
Yep.
20% muscle. However, while I was losing my weight, I mean, I lost a significant amount of weight twice. I was doing periodic in-body scans, and I don't know, that
Mhm.
tells you how much muscle and visceral fat and so forth that you have on your body. And I didn't lose muscle because I also did a lot of strength training and I made sure I got adequate protein. So I think if you do these two, you may even start gaining muscle. And I know tons of people who have gained muscle as a result of, so you do have to do some work too. You
Yeah,
can't
of
lose
course.
weight and not go to the gym and do strength training, especially as women. We are at risk, right, for osteoporosis because of childbirth, all that calcium gets pulled out. So you have to stimulate the muscle so it stimulates the bone. And it's
Mhm.
very, very important. Also, I just wanted to let everyone know if you don't have access to an in-body scan, there's a really great, I've been testing out all different types of scales through the years. From the Omron to the Aria and so forth. I found this one scale that it's called Hume and it's not too expensive. I think it's in the 60, 70 range and it comes with a beautiful app that you can get,
Mhm.
which tells you how much fat and muscle you have on your body. So if anyone's ever interested in monitoring that, that's a really good one. I'll put it in the notes. But anything else, Dr. Skye, that you'd like to add about misunderstandings or myths when it comes to these medications?
Yeah, that it's a quick fix and it's cheating. It's cheating.
Mhm.
I That really bothers me because like I shared with my story of Claire, was it cheating for her to start these medications and then get her life back, feel better, and start working out? When we don't feel good, it's hard, to do these lifestyle changes. And what to touch on what Honey said, yeah, these aren't magic um quick fixes in a sense where you still do have to do the work. And people will ask, do I need to be on these forever? And the answer is no. But if you do, like Honey was saying, with any weight loss program, you can do the program, and if you haven't applied these lifestyle changes, which is eating well, prioritizing protein, using your muscles so that they're stimulated and, healthy, you will gain the weight back no matter if you do a restrictive diet or GLP-1. So, you don't have to stay on these forever. That's certainly a question that I get a lot. What else does anyone have any other myths that we're adding?
All right, let's see. No. Okay, how about Ozempic face? You want to address that one? That's a big one we hear everywhere.
Do I have Ozempic face?
No. Of
I
course.
feel like these peptides tighten the skin. Of course, if we are dealing with, a lot of weight loss, 80, 100 pounds, even those folks, like I have a couple people personally that I know, they look amazing. Their skin is tight, but you can always stack with the GHKCU, which is our copper peptide, which helps the body to produce collagen. My dear family member, I won't say specifically, she's on that. She's, in her 60s, and I was blown away by she just took her first injection, and I was looking at her and I was like, what is different? It was just like it pulled back her eyes, it opened her eyes, and she didn't want to wear short sleeve shirts or shorts because of her skin sagging. And within the first week, she was in shorts. I mean, I was shocked. So there are certainly peptides that can help with, those types of concerns. But the GHKCU is definitely something to look into if that is a concern. Um,
How about it causes cancer? We hear that
Ooh.
once in a while.
Oh yeah, thyroid cancer. I didn't know if we could talk about that. Yeah, so from my research, it actually helps to prevent cancers. And I will say, through my training as a naturopath, board certified naturopath, one of the things that we learn is one of the biggest causes of cancer is actually overeating. And Americans eat so much. If you guys know, you go out to dinner or lunch or wherever, breakfast, and you're getting two or three times the amount of food that you really need to be eating. And the beautiful thing when you're on the GLP-1 is because of the GLP-1 helps to regulate the blood sugar and helps you to feel satisfied and full. You'll know you're not going to need to eat as much. You'll feel satisfied and full faster. So I take a lot of my meals to go now. I have two or three, meals from just one technically meal in a restaurant. So um, yeah, I totally forgot the question. What
It's
we
okay. We addressed cancer. I mean, if
cancer,
you have
right?
a family history of medullary thyroid cancer, that is a contraindication for these medications. And medullary thyroid cancer is 2% of all thyroid cancer. So it's a small risk, but you should always follow up with your primary care. They have your full history, and you should monitor your health with them. Now let's shift gears and talk a little about NAD. Can you tell us what NAD is and how it works in the body?
Of course, I would be happy to. NAD is a coenzyme that our body produces, and it depletes, especially when we get to about 40 and 50, it is cut in half. And it is crucial for so many systems in the body, specifically our energy production in our cells, all of our trillion cells, and also helps with cognitive function. It's essentially the body's spark plug, is what they say. So it helps kind of ignite the body. It also, well, essentially, kind of diving more into NAD, all the benefits. What I personally noticed is better sleep. And Dr. Wagner was talking a little bit about this over the weekend and had me thinking again how important when we're talking about dementia and Parkinson's and these degenerative brain diseases that so many of unfortunately are dealing with or no family members that are dealing with, how important a good night's sleep is. I didn't realize when I started NAD that was going to be such a benefit for me. But when you get a good night's sleep, it's like you go to bed and you wake up the next morning. You didn't wake up in the night. A lot of times, a lot of us get up in the night. Who knows why, right? We just wake up. Maybe we're alarmed. Maybe we're hot. Maybe we just wake up. We just don't feel rested when we wake up. So NAD is really great for sleep. So it actually helps the body to produce melatonin, and it helps to regulate our circadian rhythm, helps us to, get a good night's sleep, wake up more refreshed. And again, our brain it actually recycles during our sleep. So it gets rid of those old cells and renews and replenishes. So, a lot of that, I think a lot of the mental health issues that we're facing today are really from a poor night's sleep. I think that's a huge one. A lot of women, and men, again, I see a lot of women, but they're just really not sleeping well. They just don't feel good. And brains aren't recycling. They're crabby because they're not sleeping. And you just can't function well. You just don't feel good in that space.
Mhm.
So, um, uh, NAD also helps the body to detoxify. And we all need to get rid of these 80,000 chemicals, unfortunately, that are in our soil and in the air. Um, so it's a kind of a general description.
Yeah, and it was originally prescribed for addiction, right? That's what it was given to patients for. Um,
Okay.
well, t talking about sleep, I've caught a red eye to the East
Oh,
Coast. I could,
honey worked
but
so
you
hard
should,
for all of us.
generally take NAD in the mornings, correct? Or can you take it at nighttime?
Um, you can take it at nighttime, but it is stimulating, and
Right.
so, it is best to take it during the early hours. Also, I wanted to add, because there's a couple articles, PubMed here, and NAD has actually been studied now to be safe. In other words, there was a published article from PubMed, and it said that boosting NAD levels is safe, well tolerated, and linked to better energy, muscle function. So if you are concerned about muscle preservation, definitely stacking with the NAD is a great, uh, action. And helps brain health and even skin repairs. So that was a study in 2020 from the pharmaceuticals on PubMed. I can share that if you're interested.
Well, that's why we
But
have
in
it
other
in our
words,
skincare. That's why we have it in our skincare too. We have the
that's
NAD.
right.
Mhm.
But just to know that, even the medical community is coming out and saying it's safe and it's well tolerated. So there's so many things that we do, just even like sleeping pills or caffeine, all these other therapies that aren't really very safe and have side effects where you have NAD that you can incorporate that has even now, been proven to be well tolerated and safe. So to me, there's a lot of benefits, and I don't see a lot of I haven't found any risks. I will say with NAD that it's rare, but I had a woman who took NAD and it really activated her detoxification pathways. And she did get a little bit of hives. So we did incorporate some drainage support. And I mean, I will preface and say she had really severe chronic fatigue and she was out in her yard, like digging and raking and just feeling amazing, but she was dealing with that histamine response. So, she did feel a lot better, but we just had to kind of back off a bit. And she was able to contact the telemedicine staff and they, gave her some recommendations and then we did some work. And she's back on it and she's feeling great. So,
Mm.
um, it's really a great tool for folks that do have low energy.
Yeah, for me, what I notice immediately with NAD and why I take it, it's for energy and focus.
Mhm.
It's like if you have ADHD or if you have any sort of issues with focus, NAD is a great alternative to the amphetamine salts that are prescribed, Ritalin and ADHD medication. I mean, always consult your physician, but for me, it's been a great, healthier alternative. And you're right, by the way, about the reaction, the injection site reaction. I do get a little bit of a welt, but I put a little bit of a topical Benadryl on, and it helps. it helps a little bit. Or I
Mm.
just press down on it, or take a cold spoon. That's what I do sometimes, and that seems to help. Also, rotating the injection sites has been pretty helpful. I put it below.
Mhm.
Um, Now, can you tell us how NAD can be helpful for patients who are taking GLP-1, how it couples really, really well with GLP-1 medications, and why
Yeah,
we decided to couple it in our oral drops?
sure. Well, NAD again can preserve muscle, so we want to again be preventative and proactive to preserve our muscle. It also, according to an article I found, it stated that it stabilizes metabolism together, and combined, they also will help with cellular repair for anti-aging. So, what is cellular repair? It essentially helps the body to produce dopamine, serotonin. We were talking about that with the brain health, right? So a lot of us have this, our brain is constantly seeking that dopamine. So when we pair these two together, it's going to help the body to produce these chemicals, and we're going to feel satisfied. We're going to feel happier. We're going to be able to, again, sleep better, serotonin, and just feel better, feel happier. And also, with the GLP-1s, what I've noticed is that for me, the first day I took it, I was like cleaned my whole house, was like so energized. But then is into the weeks I started to feel a little bit fatigued. And so, I paired it with NAD because I knew that was going to help boost my energy. When the body is handling all this inflammation and healing, sometimes we do feel a little bit fatigued, and the GLP-1s can slow things down a little bit. And so pairing it with the NAD, I think, is a great choice for increasing those energy levels and optimizing our metabolism, helping our sleep so that we can repair and rebuild during the nighttime. Those are some key benefits.
I know that NAD is sometimes called the longevity molecule. Can you talk to us about how NAD levels drop as we get older, as we age?
Yeah. Do you remember in our 20s we could just go out all night and do whatever,
I
and
still
stay
do
up into the night? Okay. Well, that's because you're on NAD, honey.
that.
Right.
No.
We are superhuman. That's what the name of the game. So, but we're able to repair and work out and kind of, live our best life, do things. And then as we get older, those levels will drop and we're not as resilient. We don't bounce back as fast. So the NAD again is going to help with so many different things, but a huge thing too is the cognitive function, right? A lot of us are just don't feel like we have the memory or the focus or the concentration. So it's also going to help with DNA repair as well. So there's a lot of benefits just by thinking better, feeling better, sleeping better, and also optimizing with our GLP-1s. So we're going to be, metabolizing better, getting rid of things, old junk in the cell. Those are all things that are going to help us to age slower.
Mhm. I love what Ka wrote, KA. My customer lost 12 pounds just adding NAD. She just told me yesterday, and I was floored. And then she followed by saying, I got off my bupropion. Sorry, I'm sharing your messages that my doctor gave me for focus after adding NAD. I'm also no longer laying on the couch all day. Wow, look at that.
That's amazing.
Well, that is amazing. Um, can you talk to us about how fast can we expect results? If we start NAD, how fast and how soon can we see a difference or feel the difference?
Mhm. Well, for me personally, I noticed the sleep quality in the first week. And it was, again, a surprise because I didn't go into it with that in mind. I would say optimal results for me, or where I felt the energy was really kicked up, was about the week 2 to 3. I would give the body a few weeks to replenish the stores of NAD, because sometimes we are really depleted. So give yourself a couple weeks to gauge how you're responding to it. And then with LEMD, your first month you're on typically one dose, and then you'll go up a dose. So I would give yourself a few weeks, but I have also heard and seen incredible stories and testimonies with the first day. I mean, where people are dealing with such horrible fatigue, brain fog, and they're able to finally feel like themselves, even within a day. So I don't like to, put that as everybody's story, but I have certainly seen incredible things with it.
Mm. Last question I have. What's one thing you wish everyone understood about NAD and why it matters to long-term health?
Well, again, according to this study, right, it's well tolerated and safe. And what I see clinically walk through the door every single day is fatigue and brain fog and low mood. So this is a therapy that's just sweeping the nation. I just had my cousin in town and she's like, I want to get on NAD. All the celebrities are taking it. It's like, guys, we all deserve to feel better. So if you don't feel better, there are solutions here. I had a conversation with another practitioner. I was talking to her about LEMD and the peptides and NAD and my story. And she ended up, signing up, incorporating them in her practice. And she called, we talked about 2 weeks later, and she said, you know what, Dr. Skye, I thought you were kind of pulling my leg, kind of over talking these products. But she said, I know what you mean. I mean, she's like, I feel the miracle molecules, and these products carry a very high frequency. And so even with being on the peptides and increasing my vital force and feeling more confident, I've been able to attract some really special things into my life and also leave things in my life that weren't serving me anymore. If we don't feel good, you know, it's hard to move forward. Maybe it's relationships or career. We sometimes settle. I know I was settle for things because we just don't have the energy to even really deal with a lot of personal stuff. So I would say just try it. People ask me, well, do I have to do this forever? And my response is, it's a 2-month program or a 3-month program. Just try it, see how you respond to it. If it's not for you, hey, you can stop and no harm done. If anything, you're gonna feel better. But, just take it a couple months at a time and see how you respond to it. Most likely you're going to get on it and feel so much better, and then you're going to want to tell everybody about it. That's what happens here. So,
Mhm. Another thing I want to add is how telomeres, or I'm sorry, how NAD affects telomeres length. So telomeres are these little aglets, like think of them as these aglets on your shoelaces, and as they shrink, it causes cellular senescence. So these signals that go around and say, "Oh, cell death," like we must, and then it causes inflammation, and that's how we age. So they don't quite understand the relationship between NAD and telomere length, but it has been shown in studies to stabilize the telomere so they don't shrink over time, and in fact, to slow that process down, which ultimately is what they say is one of the multiple causes of aging. So there's also that I wanted to throw in there about the telomeres. It slows down the reduction. But it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. I mean, it's involved in many, many processes in our body, so it only makes sense. But I love that we're bringing it out with the GLP-1 GIP. I haven't seen that elsewhere, so super excited about it. Now, Dr. Skye, we have a couple minutes. Is there anything else that you'd like to add and educate our community? Is there anything else?
yes, I would love to. Well, with my background with naturopathy, I know some people I see, they're like, well, I'm not getting, I'm not losing weight or I'm not, they come in with these expectations. I would really just give your body the time and respect. I did a training on the healing process because we heal in a specific order. We heal from the top down and from the most vital organs to the least vital organs. So, like our brain, for example, might need some, healing, and that's going to be come first before our pancreas or our gut. So, just give the body some time. And I think I got great results as well because I have done a lot of work cleansing and detoxing. So, if I can, honey, I get a lot of questions from partners and customers from LEMD, just people reaching out to me, asking me different questions. So I decided to put together a mastermind just to support peptide users from a naturopathic perspective to, help you guys to understand some other pieces that might, if you bring, incorporate them in, like detoxing, like, some nutritional support. So that's kind of in the works right now. If I can share a little bit about how to get in touch with me there. But essentially, I want to just say, have patience and just know that your body is working and don't weigh yourself every day, please. Throw the scale to the side and just tune into how your energy is and your mood and your skin and all of these other gauges of how we're feeling and ditch the scale.
That's very good
Once
to
a
know.
week is fine. Anything more than that, guys, just put the scale away and get something like you said, something that measures, not just the weight, but our muscle mass and fat and all of that so that we get more of an accurate picture.
Well, that's why we include the tape measure with all the orders, the GLP-1 orders that go out. It's all about the measurements. Focus on that and forget about the weight. The weight will come
Yeah,
off. Don't worry about that. It's all about the fat, visceral and subcutaneous. And make sure you get adequate protein and nutrition and hydrate, right?
exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Dr. Skye, if someone wants to get in touch with you or join your mastermind, how can they find you?
Yes, thank you, honey. So if you are interested in the mastermind, email support at skylife.info excuse me, skylife.info. Support at skylife.info. Let me know, just comment mastermind and I will get you guys that information. And if you're looking to work with a naturopath, I have a few spots open next month. Spots are limited. You can go to my website, Skylife, SKYELIFE.info, and just click the Start Now button and look at the calendar. Thank
No,
you,
there you
honey.
go.
Yeah,
Brenda's
but
on it. Okay.
thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how you get in touch with me.
Oh, well, wonderful. Thank you all for tuning in. This is really important. This is how we make a difference, and this is what we're doing our part in our community. So thank you all for tuning in and wanting to educate yourself and inviting viewers to these calls. It's very, very important, and it's part of our mission to educate our community. Today was it was a collaborative call, and it was really special. Thank you so much, Dr. Skye, for coming on and educating our community and for being part of this beautiful, beautiful growing community that we've created. And thank you again. Be sure to tune in tomorrow as well. We have Dr. Jason Pete joining us talking about tesamorelin and ipamorelin. So be sure to tune in. We'll get the information emailed to you guys. Once again, Dr. Skye, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're so welcome, honey. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me
Oh,
my spark back. Really, truly. I
oh,
just can't thank you enough. And to all of your amazing team that puts all of this together behind the scenes. Thank you for staying up tireless, long nights and making sure that we're all able to access these incredible medications. I mean, I cannot thank you. And from my patients, we thank you. So thanks for
oh.
allowing me to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful night. We'll see you tomorrow. Mwah. Good night.